Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the Occult Review with me, your host, Bell Alright. Appreciate you guys for joining me today. It's been a while since I've actually recorded anything for this particular channel. And I just wanted to jump into it with some general thoughts about My Hero Academia Season 1 as well as Season 2. So I do have a plan to read the manga as well. So I think I'll do maybe chapter reviews on that or arc reviews on that. But for now, I just wanted to give my general thoughts on what I felt about Seasons 1 and 2. So if you guys have been keeping up with me through the Slightly Less Than Perfect channel, you'll notice that I actually talk really bad about My Hero Academia because I'm used to high quality superhero media on the Western end from companies such as Marvel and DC, especially when it comes to animation and comics. The Western studios have that on lock, but I have been disparaging My Hero because of the lack of understanding in terms of what makes Western superheroes work. So I do want to do a deeper video on that. It's going to take me some time because that's why I'm even watching My Hero, because I don't want my opinions in that regard to be colored with ignorance, which I think they are, to be honest. If I'm being completely honest, I haven't read or watched enough My Hero. I've watched everything I've watched from it. You know, it's been bits and pieces here and there. I've seen the culmination of a couple of different arcs, but I haven't watched the arcs in their entirety. So I don't have the complete context on, you know, why people love My Hero. But it always struck me as funny because it's both a shonen battle manga and a superhero manga. And those are two of my favorite sorts of genres in fiction. And to me, My Hero has never done either particularly well. That's always what's annoyed me about the show. But that said, that's why I'm pretty glad I'm able to do this review with you guys today, because in terms of seasons 1 and 2, I love both. I love both seasons 1 and 2 of My Hero Academia. I really got into the characters. I really got into the plot lines. It's not all perfect, but I don't think it's all meant to be. Most things aren't meant to be perfect. But I will say I really enjoyed seasons 1 and seasons 2. And I think, honestly, most people would agree with me, because even the people who have come to dislike My Hero, you know, kind of modern day, they at least were down with the first 2 seasons, maybe season 3. I'm actually starting season 3 today. So, yeah, let's get it started. So, let's talk about the first season first. And I think the first season, outside of... Okay, I'll just address the elephant in the room. Deku's super duper lucky. At times, stuff like this takes me out of the mood of the show. It makes me think, oh, plot armor, blah, 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 stuff like that. But in this case, I think the setup of Deku getting his powers, it works just fine. And this setup from how Deku gets his powers does come into play later on in the manga. So for this review, I'm not going to get super duper heavy into the plot. Myself, I'm not going to be doing a beat by beat recap. But I think for this particular point, I need to give you guys some context. So Deku gets his powers from All Might because Deku ended up saving, or at least trying to save, both All Might and Kachan, one of his childhood friends. You guys know who Kachan is. Bakugo. He tries to save Bakugo from this the slime monster. But the problem is Deku doesn't have a quirk. And you guys will have already known how this show works. It's a show where most of the population has quirks, but Deku is one of the very few that doesn't have a quirk. I think only 20% of the population doesn't have quirks. It might be a little bit lower. But anyway, Deku's heart in the face of Deku's heart in the face of this is what made, not just heart, Deku's heart and self-sacrifice is what made All Might want to give Deku his powers. That stuff's cool. So my only problem with this setup here is not that setup in and of itself. We have a main character who has always wanted to be a superhero. We have a character who's followed All Might's inspiration. You know, All Might is his number one favorite hero. He idealizes heroes. He loves them. He idolizes them. And he's done no work other than write factoids about these various heroes in notebooks. He's known since he was 4 years old that he was quirkless, which means he has no superpowers. But he's done no additional work until he met All Might to become a superhero. And so that's my biggest kind of turnoff from this whole idea. Because most of you guys are gonna know about a little comic called Kick-Ass. You know, most of you guys are gonna know about that. Most of you guys who read Western comics know that there are people out there, you know, they don't have powers, but they're inspired by Batman, who just go out there and fight crime, you know, in his image. They might throw a little bat logo on their costume, and Batman has to straighten it out, has to train them properly, but then he later sanctions them. So heroism works a little bit different in My Hero, whereas to be a hero, you have to be state sanctioned. You have to pass, you know, your qualifications, your exams. You have to be officially sanctioned to be a hero. If you're not, you're a vigilante, and that's actually worse than it typically is in comic books. In comic books, vigilantes are criminals, but in My Hero, not only are you criminals, but you're shunned by, you know, polite society. You're shunned by all of society, basically. So that's my biggest problem with the setup of My Hero. You have this guy Deku, who, for all intents and purposes, he could have still been a superhero without a quirk. We see it time and time again later on in the show that even if you have, like, you know, a weak sauce quirk, you can get by on being peak human. Peak human in My Hero means something entirely different than peak human in the DC universe. Peak human in My Hero, you're still basically a superhero. There's a guy who lost his powers in a My Hero spinoff. His name's Knuckle Duster. This dude, at points in that manga, almost seems about as strong as All Might. If not as strong, he's about only like a tier or two down from him. He has what looks to be super strength. He at least hits with the force of a truck. Same with Stain. Stain fought I think three heroes at once with, you know, high levels of power. Todoroki, Midoriya, once he figured out how to use 5% of All Might's strength, as well as Ingenium was down. Who else were there? It was three of them. Oh, Ingenium he got back up later in the fight. So he was fighting three superpower heroes. They weren't they weren't pros yet, but they were really strong. As far as Todoroki goes, he was considered to be stronger than the average hero. And for Midoriya, 5% of All Might. Midoriya's full calling at the time was 5% of All Might. So Stained could compete, as well as in some cases exceed 5% of All Might strength just with physical training, because Stain's quirk was completely non-physical. It had nothing to do with his super strength. Stain was able to ingest the blood of someone and paralyze them. That was his quirk, but his quirk wasn't super strength, enhancement, anything like that. So the upward limits of strength in My Hero are much higher than they are in the real world. So if Deku did any level of training, basic training, and if he pushed himself to the highest level, even without a quirk, he could have basically been the Batman of that universe. You have similar such characters later on that I'm waiting to get to this character because I don't know how his powers work. I know his powers are he's basically Kitty Pryde from X-Men. He can phase through things, but he hits with the force of a truck. I don't believe the force of his hits come from his his quirk at all. I think it comes from his like basic level of like conditioning. So like the upward limits of human strength in this show are ridiculous. So right away, Deku's whole dilemma to me is stupid. It's completely dumb. So that's one thing. That's one thing. So keeping that in mind, but we're gonna get past that. We're gonna get past that and go into Deku getting his powers and then going to the academy to study. So All Might saw Deku's heroism, and it basically brought out of All Might, it took him back to what it truly meant to be a hero. So it's setting up a really strong connection between All Might and Deku right off the bat. I really like that. I thought that was really cool. And that connection, you know, that really comes back later again and again. And you do see why All Might saw something in Deku and why he's taking Deku under his wings. Deku at this point really is a cool character. I know one of the criticisms I did have on Slightly Less Than Perfect was that Deku cries a lot, maybe a little bit too much. And for me, that's not, for me, for one thing, it comes down to the English dub. Whenever I watch the English dub, Deku's voice is super annoying when he's crying. In the Japanese dub, it's less of a problem. But in general, I don't find his crying in the first 2 seasons to be that off-putting. They play it for gags too. In the later episodes in the show, I think that's where I found the crying off-putting, because it's like it never stops. Like he's just an emotional guy, I guess. But here in the first 2 seasons, I'm not so annoyed with it. It makes total sense. He's still a kid. He's like, he has all this pressure on his shoulders. And he's just figuring himself out, and he's being recognized. There's a lot going on. He deserves to cry in these first 2 seasons. But one thing me and my buddy talked about is that, you know, this never stops. It seems like he's always like a fresh wound, a fresh crying wound. But yeah, All Might and Deku, really good stuff. I really like, one criticism I ended up having later on was the fact that the side characters that are being developed and built up now, they never really, this is their peak. This is their peak. It's very similar to the Naruto Chunin exams. Where a lot of those characters, they peaked during the Chunin exams. But my thing with Naruto, which is one of the shows that My Hero kind of apes from, Naruto at least does continue to advance those characters to quite a large degree. There are some characters who they don't get enough screen time to be developed further, but for the most part, that Konoha 11, was it Konoha 11? They continue to improve throughout. I would say at least 60 to 70% of them continue to improve throughout the show. And I'm just not getting that vibe from My Hero. At least in the first 2 seasons, they're all being almost, not quite equally developed. As we're getting, and I know a lot of this stuff is anime only, so a lot of them probably fell to the wayside a lot quicker in the manga. So I can't wait to start reading that. But in the anime, at least, they are expounded upon, a lot of these other students. And I forget our class size. I think our class size may be similar to the Konoha 11, maybe a little bit bigger. But I like these characters, but a few of them don't make sense. Like, I don't know what the author was thinking when he created a hero that uses acid. You just know that this hero is going to be very limited in a fight. In a shonen fight, in a shonen manga fight, this character is going to be limited because it's not Fist of the North Star. We're not going to be seeing her like just like exploding people or melting people. So, if you got Bakugo in like a seinen manga, he'd be killing people left and right, but it's a shonen manga, so his explosions, for whatever reason, do simply concussive force, even though we know they do heat as well. They only do concussive force, or at least the human type characters are much more durable than in real life. So you got Acid Girl here, cool design, horrible power for what this show really is. It's a similar problem to like Nico Robin in One Piece, where you have this character who can instantly kill probably just about anybody, and we have to nerf her because this isn't her genre. She can't just be instantly killing people because this is a battle manga. The fights have to be stretched out, that sort of thing. So we got this acid girl, cool design. Her powers just make it so that she's not gonna do much ever. If she had just a simple power change, anything else other than instant kill acid, she would have been pretty good. Or if the author was a bit more creative with her acid, maybe allowing her to, because I haven't gotten very far. I've only gotten to the start of season 3. But if she can like maybe lower the, I don't know, the danger of her acid, the lethality of it or something. I don't know. I like that she has like, she can like melt things to slide with her acid. That's cool. But maybe instead of like being able to like melt things, maybe she could instead create different consistencies. Maybe she could create slime with her acid or something like that. I know it'd be kind of redundant, because some characters I think do something similar to that. But she needs more utility, because just being able to melt things isn't going to get her far in something like this. You can see she has a really short shelf life in terms of usefulness. So and a lot of the other characters are very similar. The horse ninja thing with the bat ears and the bat wings with the ears on them and stuff like that. You could tell he's not going to get a lot of use. Interesting design, kind of ugly design too at the same time, kind of messy. But you want to see more from a character like that, but I don't think we're going to see too much from him. And a lot of these characters, I'm complaining about them because I can see like they have a short shelf life, but they got a decent amount of development in the first 2 arcs. The next guy I'm going to talk about, Grape Juice, same thing. His power is very limited. It's kind of cool, but it's pretty limited. He has the power to take these grapes. His hair basically are these like bouncy grape-like things that are about the size of a what size is that? A little bit bigger than a pool ball. So he could take these things off his head. They're bouncy. They can stick. They got the consistency of rubber and gum. For you Hunter x Hunter fans. And he can stick them to anything. And he can stick like a bunch of them. His limitation is that if he takes too many, then his head starts to bleed. So interesting power, but you can see like the limitation on it. And he did have a crowning moment of awesome in the last exam in season 2. But you can tell they're not gonna do a lot with this character. Like I can tell they're not gonna expand his powers in any meaningful way. That might just be me being a pessimist. But yeah, my point while I'm saying all this is that I don't know why the author chose such despicable powers for these characters when he could have given them something a bit more dynamic to allow them to do more cool things. And going hand in hand with that, a lot of their designs just make them out to be, really eyesores in a way. Because you got the horse thing, which like just a messy design overall, the horse ninja guy, and you have the animal talker, who again, just the overall messy design, because like he just looks strange. He has a very passive power, and you can tell like the author's not going to do a lot with this character. It's like, to me, it feels like the class characters are mostly just throwaway designs. And that's what really upsets me about this class compared to the Konoha 11, which all those designs are fucking awesome. Fucking awesome in comparison. So I wish the author went more so like Kishimoto with the Konoha 11, or is it the Konoha 12? I always forget the fucking number. But those guys, those tunings from the tuning exam from the Leaf Village, and even those from the Sand Village, really cool designs that stay cool throughout. They only got better as the show went on. But My Hero doesn't give me that same vibe. That said, I know I'm leading with the negative, but that said, I really liked all the characters and the fact that they got shine in the first 2 arcs, especially Sports Festival and the final exam. I thought those were really cool, 2 really cool showcasings for the class, first year class, class 1A, I think it is. So really enjoyed those guys. I think my favorite instructor type character is probably Shoto Aizawa, Eraserhead from My Hero. I think this guy does really well. He's like if Shikamaru was the instructor of the class. He's whip smart. He has a really cool power. I love the power to erase powers. It's really cool. They didn't explain his powers properly enough because for whatever reason, his hair sticks up when he does his eraser powers. Eraser powers. When he does his eraser powers, and that also causes his neck thingies, his neck. What did you call those? I don't know what it is. I don't know what it's like. Restraint tape or something like that. Restraint cloth. His restraint cloth can then be controlled telepathically or something like that from his eraser powers. It doesn't make sense. It looks fucking cool. His eyes turn red, and then he got this like this kind of flamey, almost Super Saiyan like hair, and then his this cloth around his neck becomes like these capturing tendrils, which is really cool. But they never went into like that part of his power. So I'm like, okay, eraser powers, but you do like you got these secondary powers that the show's just not gonna acknowledge. All right, looks cool. I'm down with it. But really cool character, really cool instructor. I really like his sacrifice when the villains invaded. That was really cool. And this was another showcase of the of all of the class 1A first years was when the villains invaded their training session. Their what was it? It was like it was gonna be kind of like a rescue sort of training session where they went to all these like destroyed environments and they were gonna like train in these destroyed environments. But then the villains just came out of nowhere with the one villain could like create dimensional warps or whatever and like teleport people in from different locations. And the other villain was Todoroki, and he could whatever he touched kind of disintegrated. So that was really cool. I'm not gonna get into details, it's already pretty long. And it was a really good showcase of the different combinations of heroes. We got to really see what Froppy could do. We got to even see like Grape Juice contribute and do some really cool stuff. Deku, of course, throughout was really cool. Deku is a really good topic too because Deku, we got to see like his gradual increase in powers. That's another topic we addressed on Slightly Less Than Perfect. Deku's increase in power, or his basically getting used to the powers of All Might, really dope because he started off like just blowing all of his limbs away, just trying to do basic stuff, trying to defeat these villains, to eventually he learned how to control it and just do with his fingers, just like create these powerful blasts of force with just his fingers instead of with his fists. And it was really cool. It was really cool to see him gradually get used to his powers. Would I have preferred him just be like a badass normal? Yes, but just watching him slowly get used to All Might's powers is really cool too. So at this point, Deku couldn't do anything other than punch things really hard or snap his fingers at things really hard. But since he has like such a high acumen for like superhero stuff, we really got to see like what he could do in regards to that. So I like Deku throughout. I like his gradual increases in powers. I liked his training arc with Gran Torino. Awesome name, by the way. Just straight up took Clint Eastwood's movie and made a character out of it. I liked Gran Torino. I feel like this is getting kind of long, so I do want to get to season 2, and I feel like I haven't covered season 1 in any particular satisfying fashion. But just finishing off on season 1. Again, awesome characters. I love the rookies. I know I'm going to be disappointed later. Because from what I know about My Hero, I absolutely know I'm going to be disappointed later. But yeah, the rookies were dope. Teachers were dope. I can't get into any details about the teachers, but they're really dope. The plot elements that were injected into it, really dope. season 1, the fact that the villains at the very end, mind you, that came in like episodes like I think 11, 12, and 13, or maybe 10, 11, 12, and 13. I think it was just either 11, 12, and 13 or 12 and 13. Villains just come in, start creating chaos. I thought that was a really cool story beat, because we thought like, oh, we got this like really slow burn, almost slice of life sort of thing, where we get to see the students attend class and the anxieties of just being in a class with all these talented people. But then surprise, villains. And the villains weren't too powerful. They were around the level of the hero, but they had powers such that they could actually challenge All Might. The one villain there that actually was far above the students was this Nomu creature, which was a biologically engineered creature to hard counter All Might, basically. And the creature almost could. All Might just when All Might did show up, he just basically just punched it into oblivion, because it was set up to where it could handle 100% of All Might's strength, but All Might just went overboard because he had to, and he endowed each of his punches with, I think it was 120% of his maximum strength. So he punched that thing about 150 times to be honest. So yeah, season 1 was really fucking good. And I guess this will just be a season 1 review because this is fucking long. So yeah, season 1 was really fucking good. I did think season 2 was good as well. You know what? Let's just cover season 2. I think I could do it in about 8 minutes. So season 1 was really fucking good. I loved just about everything about it. The only thing that annoyed me was the whole premise of Deku not doing anything to prepare for being a superhero, since he was 4, other than writing notebooks. Like, he never trained for it or anything like that. So All Might, in season 1, All Might did give him like a hard, I think he gave him like 8 months to train to absorb the powers of All Might. So by the time season 1, by the time Deku went to school, he was already in really good physical shape, because he went to like hell training with All Might. So Deku's like pretty much a physical specimen. Like, he's above average. He's not like peak human by any means, but he's definitely above average. He's definitely an athlete at this point. So season 2 rolls around. Deku has all these accomplishments from season 1. Accomplishments that I didn't mention, by the way. Deku was like the champion in some of these events. He was like the number 1 hero. He was winning things. Well, he saved the day from that big robot. I'm trying to think of the other thing he did. He was kind of the champion of the he saved All Might. That's what it was. He ended up saving All Might from Todoroki, or not Todoroki, I'm sorry. From Shigaraki. So in season 2, we get the sports festival, really cool event. We got our first official tournament in this. And really good tournament from my buddy Mark. He told me that a lot of the fights in the sports festival in the anime were not animated in the manga, or should I say, were not drawn out in the manga. So what was maybe an episode or 2 in the anime was only like maybe a panel in the manga. So I really like the sports festival. I really like the showcase of the characters' powers. I really like the rivalry between class A and class B in My Hero, and I really do like the focus on the individual talents of class 1A. So that was really cool. Deku's performance in it, really cool too. At some points, I always feel like Deku is maybe given too much focus, but he is the main character. But Deku does win a lot. And I feel like one character that gets shit on to prop Deku up is the speed character, the speedster. And that's another kind of sticky point with me with the character designs too. I didn't talk enough about the character designs, but Ingenium / I think his name's Tenza's superhero costume to me is just so fucking bulky for a speedster, and it annoys the hell out of me. A speedster wearing like heavy armor. Like, come on now. Come on now. Come on now. Anyway, that aside, Tenza being like shit on needlessly to kind of prop Deku up really annoyed me throughout the show, because I feel like Tenza should have been like, it gets better in season 2, I think, Tenza's performance, because Tenza seems to be right up there with Deku and them, but he's just like slightly less good than Deku. What really annoys me about that is that Deku is basically faster than him. Tenza does have like a turbo mode or whatever, like a super speed mode. I think he calls it reciprocal, where he goes super speed for like just a couple seconds, maybe 30 seconds or something like that, and then his engine stalls, and then he can't do it again for like, I don't know, another 10 minutes or something like that. I forget the time frames on this stuff. But the reciprocal is really cool. So in a show that made sense, he'd be able to like level up his reciprocal to maybe do it all the time, because I can see the power creep in this show is gonna get crazy. So if they're not doing that with this character, I know I'm gonna get pissed off later, because they're already kind of needlessly shitting on him. Yeah, that's one thing that annoyed me about that particular character, because I think he should be way stronger than he is, but they're really holding back on him to prop up Deku, Bakugo, and Todoroki. But I do like that three-way rivalry. I think those three characters are really cool. I really do like Uravity too / Uraraka. I think she's really cool. Hopefully they'll tier her up, at least as good as they did Sakura and Naruto. But I think Sakura's development wasn't the best either for that type of character. So hopefully Uraraka gets like a lot more development than that. Sports festival again, really good. And then at the very end of that, we get the conclusion of the sports festival, a bunch of good matches. We get Bakugo and Todoroki's development. Just a tad bit of Bakugo development, mostly Todoroki's development. I really do like Todoroki's backstory, and I know that eventually that's going to coincide with Dabi in Endeavor. I do find those characters to be interesting, so I'm looking forward to more of that. Todoroki himself, I liked his little arc. I thought his little arc was cool. I guess I don't have much more to say about it than that. I just thought it was a really cool arc. It's what makes it really cool is that even though his mother did something so despicable, he's still trying to save her because of circumstances. Like she wasn't in her right mind, that sort of thing. So I do like the fact that not only is he trying to save her, but he's also trying to, and you'll see it more so towards the end of season 2, is he's trying to connect with his dad because his dad is the number 2 hero. It's like, I do have something to learn from you. Even you aren't completely outside the realm of, they don't treat Endeavor as a villain, which really in anything else he would be like a straight up villain, because the stuff he did to create Todoroki, the stuff he did to create this, this wonderfully powerful character, this kid that he wants to one day overcome All Might. The things he did to make this happen are truly terrible, and we're gonna learn about that more as the show goes on. But they don't exactly treat him as the villain or treat the mom as the villain. These are just two fucked up characters, and we need to figure out why they're fucked up, and maybe at some point try to maybe fix it. So I'm really glad and excited for Todoroki's direction. I think he's a really wonderful character. So Sports Festival was like maybe a third of season 2, probably a third of season 2, because part 2 is the Stain arc, which was another wonderful mini arc with Stain, a really cool villain. Stained, or I call him Stained, but his name's Stain. Stain's presence lingers throughout all of season 2, even once he's defeated. He only lasts maybe 4 episodes, 4 or 5 episodes, something like that. But his presence is gonna linger throughout the entirety of season 2, maybe even beyond that. Really cool character, super duper inspired I want to say by 90s edgelord comics in the US. I can see a little bit of Spawn. I can see some I don't know. I could just see some Rob Liefeld / Jim Lee design straight up in this character, and Todd McFarlane straight up in this character, and some Afro Samurai too. He got the Afro Samurai hair and some of the Afro Samurai poses. Really edgy fucking character, really cool character. And he's like peak human, but his physical attributes are off the fucking charts. So he can outspeed a speedster. he can handily beat 5% of All Might, no problem at all. All that. So really cool character. He doesn't last long. I'm surprised by that. He doesn't last long at all. And his they're using him as kind of like a political kind of chess piece. Like his whole ideology and his like whole character is basically the reasons the villains comes back into power. Cause like the guy was so passionate that he kind of inspires a movement that affects even like the general populace. It inspires them to do. It inspires like villains to get more villainous, and it inspires the general populace to kind of give credence to like what the villains are objecting about. That was really cool. So we get past Stain, and well, during Stain there was like a mini training arc between Deku and his All Might's mentor Gran Torino. So that was really cool. We got to learn a little bit more about One for All, a little bit more about All Might, a little bit more about All Might's instructor, who was the good friend to Gran Torino. And we even get to learn about All Might and Gran Torino's relationship. Gran Torino is a really cool character. He's basically Yoda from Star Wars. Trains the newbie in the ways and makes him way more effective than he was before, being trained by the old timer. And you get the Star Wars vibes throughout the entire show. There's some droid characters in the audience. The cities are named after planets in Star Wars. You got Hoth. I believe I think you got Dagobah. No. Hoth, Tatooine, and there was another one from the OG trilogy. There's a lot of Star Wars references in here, so I can already see that. The Gran Torino training arc was great, which dovetailed into the Stain arc. And again, I wish I could like comment on all this stuff, but this video would be like 2 hours or something like that. But yep, we get the Gran Torino thing. We get Tenza's brother getting absolutely dog walked and nearly killed and basically paralyzed. He was the first Ingenium. He's the speedster ahead of Tenza, who takes over his mantle after his brother gets paralyzed. So we get that arc. That character got to do absolutely nothing. He was basically Tenza's All Might. Got to do absolutely nothing before Stain dog walked him. We didn't get to see anything of his super speed, or he just, man, that sucks. But I guess if his brother's gonna be the same character, there's no point, so that's fine. We got to see kind of Deku being recognized by Stain, as he's trying to save Stain. We got to see Tenza go through kind of a revenge arc, where the other guys helped him come out of that. Todoroki and Midoriya helped him come out of that. And we also got to see the politics of the superhero world, and in that if you're not licensed, you can't be doing this shit, because they're just, in this case, the boys were the ones who beat Stain. The combined efforts of Deku, Ingenium, and Todoroki combined were able to defeat Stain, subdued him and all that. But because they were unlicensed, they were still in school. They had to give the credit to the police inspector, who's a full-on dog, by the way. A dog with like a human body. Police inspector gave the credit to Endeavor, Todoroki's father / the hero he was interning with. So that's another cool part about season 2. We got to see the intern system. Froppy, for instance, she interned with a similar character to her, a character who their power was just, they had the power of the animal that they look like. Froppy of the frog, and her professional hero as a seal, and we got like a nice little mini arc with Froppy that lasted about an episode. But yeah, we got to see the intern system, how superheroes become sidekicks to pro heroes, and how that works. That was really cool. A lot of interesting partnerships there. We got to see everybody from the class 1A intern. There's one character 1A I do wanna outline right quick. And that's the guy with the tail. Like his superpower is basically that he could do martial arts and has a tail that's about as strong as his other limbs. Or in this case, his tail is stronger than every one of his other limbs. He's dressed like Luke from the OG trilogy. He looks just like Luke Skywalker. He's wearing, it's a karate uniform, but it looks just like Luke's Tatooine outfit. It's funny. Interesting character design. I hope this character stays relevant because he's kind of cool. But his tail just looks so horrible. Like I don't know why this author just draws like really ugly characters, because his tail's like super inconsistent. Like sometimes it's like fat and weirdly shaped, and I think most times it's fat and weirdly shaped, but other times it's like, you know, it looks fine. So this character's weird to me. I like him overall, but like again, in terms of like the power lottery, you can't catch a break here. Like some of these powers are just like, because he just has a tail. like what? Okay, all right. The rest of season 2 was setting up the end of season 2, which was the rest of season 2 was kind of like a mix of you got the villains kind of like you got Shigaraki's organization sort of coming into fruition, that sort of thing. That was given like a minimal amount of screen time, but they were building that up until Shigaraki eventually met Deku at the shopping plaza. But you also had, on the hero side, you had them training and entering into the end of their first semester, or sorry, their first year of the academy. So that culminated in the class 1A versus the pro heroes, which the final match of that was All Might versus Deku and Bakugo. So these matchups are really cool because not only were there 2 rookies paired up to take down one hero, not only was it that, but it also paired the 2 rookies together and gave them an opponent that would challenge them in various ways. Kind of a twofold challenge. The first challenge would be connecting with their partner. The second challenge would be to get over a weakness that either one of the rookies suffered from or both of the rookies suffered from. For instance, both the sound-based rookies, the one who could talk to animals as well as the one who could plug her ears into things to boost sound or to absorb sound or whatever she does. They paired them up against the guy who's like loud, Mr. Loud Voice. His voice like is super destructive. They paired them up against him, so it was effectively a hard counter, and they had to figure out a way around it. So they did that with each of the various rookies and heroes. So a lot of really cool matchups. I just don't have enough time to go through them right now. But it culminated in Bakugo and Midoriya versus All Might. So there were some really cool matchups though. I think I want to highlight one of them because this character was really just not getting any screen time, and she eventually got her screen time here, and is Creati. I forget her actual name, but Creati, the one who could create things out of her body. Really cool character, really cool design. Maybe a little bit too over sexualized, but again, capitalism. We gotta sell statues, and we gotta sell this character, so we're gonna make her scantily clad. It's fine. I mean, it's kind of not fine because she's like, she's like 15, but it's fiction, so whatever the fuck, who cares? So yeah, this character, she wasn't doing much before that, and she had this like really huge inferiority complex, and she only had that because of how she was written, which is fine, which is absolutely fine, because it was a really cool arc. So she lost in the sports festival pretty handily, like right away against another cool design character. One of my favorite characters was I forget his name, because it's another T name. It's very long. It's very similar to Todoroki, but he has the shadow power. He's like a bird. He has a bird head, like a crow's head for his head. He's like kind of a bird man with a human body, but he has like a shadow that comes out of his belly. And she lost to him pretty handily, because he's fairly overpowered unless he's fighting one of the top three. Unless he's fighting like Bakugo, Midoriya, or Todoroki. He's good to go. He's like I would probably say he's like slightly ahead of Tenza / Ingenium in terms of power. He's like the fourth pillar of the group. But he has some hard weaknesses. If there's no shadows around, or if there's not enough light, then if there's not enough light, he's weak. And if there's too much light, he's weak. If there's not enough shadows, he's super weak. So she fought that guy, and she lost handily because he's just overpowered. All she could do is make shields. So we learned her weakness is that basically she can't think on her feet, basically. She just has this inferiority complex that got in the way. So she got a really good arc where she teamed with Todoroki against Eraserhead. Had a really good fight. And she got her moment to shine. She got to actually see what she could do, plan something, and it went, they succeeded. So it's really cool to see like some of these other rookie heroes get some spotlight. So I was really appreciative of each of these different challenges to let the rookies show themselves. And I'm wondering actually if the rookies got this much screen time in the manga. Something tells me that they didn't, but cool. All right. So finally we get the Bakugo and Midoriya matchup against All Might. Really good matchup. We got to see Bakugo and Midoriya work together. I liked how they had to get over certain aspects of their relationship to make that work. The ending was, I feel like they should have lost. I think they should have lost. But we do eventually find out that All Might, not just All Might, but all the teachers did actually hold back a little bit to allow the kids to succeed. Otherwise, it would have been a stomp. Which was clear when Deku went to save Bakugo, and they still got out. Because he like punched All Might, and then he picked up Deku and ran away. All Might had all the time in the world to catch Deku, which to me made it not so satisfying. But he just kind of watched him go walk away or whatever. So that was really cool. I like the rules of that contest as well. You had to either fight your big bad, or you had to run away from them. And by fight, I just mean capture. All you had to do is put handcuffs around the big bad. But to do that, you would have to fight them, of course. Everybody who won found a clever way of doing it. I think only 2 teams lost, maybe 2 or 3 teams. But yeah, it was really good. It was really good. And finally, we get the culmination of that first arc. We get Deku meeting up with Shigaraki. So we got to see like their whole dynamic going forward. And Shigaraki promised at the very end of the next time they meet, he'd be actively, most likely trying to kill Deku. So really cool stuff. We got to see the formation of the League of Villains. And then we're ready for season 3. So I really appreciated the first 2 seasons of My Hero Academia. Think they're really good. I do worry for the rest of the show, but right now I'm really hype on things. And this is how I felt initially about My Hero when I first watched it. I didn't think it was like the best superhero fiction of all time, but I thought it was doing pretty good work at combining shonen and superheroes. But then the stuff I saw later really shook my confidence in that. It really made me see it as a third-rate wannabe. So hopefully that doesn't happen. Maybe just watching it all the way through is going to change my perception of it entirely. But it's off to a really strong start with the first 2 seasons. And that's 38 episodes. And so that's what my buddy Ryan said. He said that he stopped watching after maybe the first or 2 seasons. And he has a really good impression of My Hero because of that. So if I stop watching here and now, even I have a really good impression of it. I still have my criticisms that the designs are pretty weak sauce. I think the power sets are lackluster overall. I think the class 1A is a bit too nerfed for them to be like elite level anythings. Sugar Man, for instance, he can only maintain his powers for like 3 minutes. He has like super strength on top of super strength, can only maintain it for like 3 minutes, and then he goes loopy and gets stupid. Same with the electric guy. He can only hold his electricity. He can only like output electricity for so long before he gets literally stupid. He has a threshold, and then if he meets that threshold, he's literally dumb. He literally becomes an absolute idiot. And so that's how it goes for like the rest of the crew. Like the rest of everybody have these way too debilitating weaknesses. And it really like takes me out of it a little bit, because I know that's the world that this person created, this author created. But you think of any superhero work of fiction, even the people with the stupid powers, first off, they're few and far between. And second off, they eventually come into their own and really make those powers sing. So that's what I'm looking for here. But I'm also noticing a distinct lack of there is a lack of romance because of shonen, which so far is fine, but part of it's missing a little bit of the tension that makes a superhero property kind of sing. And these are two tensions. One of the tensions is the lack of secret identities. That's one. And the other tension is lack of like romantic relationships. So that's fine right now. I can see eventually that becoming a big problem later on. But so far it's fine because we have the classroom interdynamics at work. So far it's fine. But I'm hoping that those lack of typical superhero things don't come back to hurt it. Anything else that I noticed in terms of superhero stuff? So it's not as right now. Everything is cool because everything is brand new. So I think that's why I'm like so into it. So because of that, we don't have to dive anything too much in depth, because I'm noticing with this writer, there's depth with the relationships. I think there's quite a bit of depth with like Deku and Bakugo. There's quite a bit of depth. But with most other things in this show, there's not enough depth. For instance, we have alien characters, we have characters that look weird, we have mutant characters. I know that they address some of this stuff later on, but right now they're just kind of throwing it in there without letting us know like what the hell is up with this. We have animal people, all this stuff. So it is a fantasy world because I don't know what to expect here. There's legit animal people just like in Dragon Ball. So we just got to accept it for now, but like I want to know why there's animal people here. But you know, I'm somewhat optimistic. I'm gonna stop shitting on My Hero until I actually finish it. But so far so good. First 2 seasons, really good. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below about My Hero Academia seasons 1 and 2. And let me know if you guys want to see me review the manga as well. I'm really enjoying this so far. I do want to see the differences between the manga and the anime. And I actually do want to read the manga, catch up to what's current. And and get back to the point where I'm caught up and I know what's going on. So appreciate you guys for stopping by. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this review. I want you guys to take care. But until next time, everybody, peace.